Hey traders, John Howell here. Today, or in today's video, I'm going to do something a little bit different, okay? It's all about what's going on within Australia. There's so many people out there, especially overseas, that have been watching what's been happening here in Australia. And they're really unsure about, oh my goodness, and the comments I've been getting has been, John, it seems really bad over there where you are right now in Australia, especially in Sydney, Australia, where I live, right? So, well, I live in the Sydney region, right? Sydney is just sort of one place, but there's like out of Sydney, which is like basically you got west of Sydney, north of Sydney, south of Sydney, all that sort of stuff, right? So there's like a 50K radius if you think about that around Sydney, and that's where I live. But I want to do this video for you for two things. One, the news, and two, the reality of the situation. So I touched on this a few days ago, and I talked about how that, about a month ago or a month and a half ago, somewhere around about there, it started to get really, really, really thick. And where I live, right, think about how Sydney is like a 50K radius. Think about that for a minute, okay? And we have all these different suburbs within Sydney, if you think about that, right? Or you might call them counties over a county over in America, right? But we have Sydney, and we have all these different suburbs. Now there was a selective of suburbs that were the hot spots. I was in the hot spot, so I was in the thick. Where I live was the hot spot of where the cases were just going apparently crazy, right? Nuts. So I'm speaking from a person that was actually in the hot spot, and what actually really happened from the ground floor, not what the BS media tells you, okay? Because remember, they're there just to startle you. But when we actually look at the reality of the situation, we can really see what's really going on. And so what ended up happening was, for a while there, it became quite tough. If you were walking outside with a mask, the police would pull you over and you would get a fine, a $500 fine. Now, I never got that because I stayed home most of the times. And if I did go outside, I went for a jog. If I was jogging, the cops just left me alone, right? It's not like I needed an ask to go for a jog, but I did that even through lockdown. I still could actually go to the shopping center. I still could go to the food. There were still cars driving along the road. And no, there wasn't, and where I live, there wasn't people there wasn't the police and the army knocking on the doors where I live anyway to see if we're home. Now that did happen in some places around the Sydney region, but that when we talk about that, and you've probably heard about, oh my goodness, these police are coming to your door right now and make sure you stay home, make sure you are home. That and the whole helicopter thing and making sure that people are not out and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that got a bit tight there for a while as the cases were just going absolutely just burko. So what ended up happening was that only lasted about maybe a week, maybe a little bit longer, but it wasn't that long at all, right? We heard all about that, and that's what we saw on the media, but that quickly died down. The fact of the matter is, and the reality of what's happening right now in Australia is a few things. Firstly, the last couple of weeks, we started seeing beaches open up. Right now, as I speak, all the government pools are open up. So even the unvaccinated, which I'm not telling you what to do or not, but even people that are unvaccinated can actually go to the government pools, right, with our kids. It's okay to do that. We can go outside right now, and it's just right now, it's just the people that have been vaxxed that can go to the gyms and all that sort of stuff that are opening up this following Monday. But right now, things are starting to slowly open back up again. And there's not police, and there's people out everywhere, people having picnics and in the sun and all that sort of stuff. And it's really good, right? It doesn't even seem like there's a lockdown anymore, apart from shopping centers not being open up and gyms not being open up, right? All that sort of stuff. And so when we look at that situation, I really want you to think about the media is a whole bunch of BS. It really is, right? It's there to scare you, right? And please don't think about that, because what we saw on the TV was real, but it wasn't real. That hasn't been like that for a long, the whole people on the streets and all sorts of stuff. That hasn't been like that for a while now. Beaches have been open for a while now. The last few weeks, the pools have been open again. all this sort of stuff. Things are starting to open back up again. Gyms are opening back up again Monday, and all that sort of stuff. So people are worried about how is it down in Australia. Right now, guys, Australia is slowly starting to open back up again. And put it this way, come by December, come at least by the end of this year, we're going to be all out in the in the public, the vax and the vax and unvax. We're going to start to go. By then, we would have been going back to the gyms, movies, cinemas, and things that would have been open back up again. So, for you guys that are wondering what is really going on in Australia, this is what's really going on, especially right here in Sydney, Australia, and also one of the places where it was mostly concentrated with the cases. That's what's really going on right now. And I really am doing this video for you because I really want you to think about what the news does for you, which is absolutely nothing, right? If you think about it, and we've got to not think about how the news, remember, a lot of times the news, they may take a little bit of the truth, right? A little bit of the truth and run with that and run with that and run with that. Again, yes, there was helicopters. Yes, there was people knocking door to door. It didn't happen where I live, but that only happened for about a very short period of time frame. And then that was all over. Then beaches started opening back up and then, it was all good from there. So that's what's really going on right now in Australia, guys. The bottom line is that one thing I noted through life is that we go through cycles, right? We go through cycles. That whole, oh my goodness, we're going through lockdown. We can't do anything. And then guess what? When it seemed it's worse, like, oh my goodness, this is just it. When they started sending the police and the army on the streets to make people go home, guess what? That was getting towards the end of the cycle, right? Think about it. Nothing stays forever that way. If something seems really, 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 really bad, we suddenly get a turn. Guess what? That was the turning point. Because guess what? After that was spread around the world of the police, helicopters and drones saying, why are you on the beach for? And all that sort of stuff, and getting fined and all that sort of stuff. And, and the police, going door to door and all that sort of stuff. Once you heard that was the worst it's going to get. And then a few weeks later, guess what? Beaches started opening up. People started going back to beaches and all this sort of stuff. Things started opening back up again. So please don't think, and same with you in your life right now. If something's not working out for you right now, it's not going to be like that forever. Sometimes we can believe like, oh my goodness, like what's going on in my life? Why is this not working for me? Right? And when you think and this is the differences for people who actually make it and people who don't make it in say, maybe even trading, is when they feel like it's helpless and they just can't keep moving forward. But somehow they find in them to actually just to keep moving forward. They get the break and then guess what? Then things start to change. So just remember that in life, guys, that nothing stays the same forever. And once you understand that, you can understand the cycles of the economy and even the cycles of the markets. Right now, the Chinese market is getting absolutely hammered. You wait. Look what the Chinese market does over the next 12 months to 2 years. Watch that thing take off like a rocket. Why? Because it's an incredible place over there, China, right? They're taking on the world, basically. Not only that, but we know things go in cycles. And what seems really, 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 really bad, guess what? 6 months, 12 months later, it's like, oh my goodness, this is incredible, right? So there's opportunities just by understanding the cycles of the rhythm of life, but also this helps you stay humble when things are going really, 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 really well for you. That's where you sit back and say, okay, you know what? I just need to be humble because it's not always going to be like this, so I need to be humble. And then we can move forward from there. So anyway, guys, leave a comment below. Leave a comment below and let me know where you are, how it is where you are right now. And the bottom line is this, guys. Right now, this is nothing new. 1918, 1919, we went through the same thing. We just haven't experienced this in our lifetimes, right? But we're getting towards the end of this. We really are. And yes, there's a new world order, and yes, there's a new blah, 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 et cetera, coming, right? But we're going to be okay. Life's going to be amazing. Life's going to be incredible. Sometimes the news and the media and all this BS out there can make us think that life's going to be absolutely just disastrous and it's going to be all over and it's going to be so bad. No, right? Life's going to be amazing. It really is. Yes, we may have less freedoms if, things keep going the way they are. But guess what? It's not going to be like a complete lockdown, sort of non-freedom, right? life's going to be amazing. And guess what? Us humans will adapt to it, and life is going to be amazing. So don't let that fear bog you down of the future, because life is going to be incredible. Life is going to be amazing. We may have a little bit less freedoms in our life if the Chinese place does take over. But guess what? There's still going to be an amazing, incredible opportunity to thrive and do really well for our families and our loved ones.